Hello, my name is Phillipa Sullivan and this is my presentation for Assignment 1, EDO 3341, Teaching in Rural and Remote Communities. I'm a teacher assigned to a remote school called Sandy Plains State School. Sandy Plains State School is a Prep to 10 school located approximately 900 kilometres west of Brisbane, Queensland. Including myself, there are 8 full-time teachers and 6 teacher aides. The school caters for around 75 to 80 students. At Sandy Plains State School, I teach Year 4 to 6 class, where abilities of students range from Year 3 to Year 6. Within the class, there is one gifted student who shows little interest in English but is interested in maths and science. There are also 2 students who are Indigenous and have English as a second language or dialect. Therefore, I am responsible for planning and delivering innovative learning experiences that meet the needs of all learners and all abilities within my class. As I have said, I am teaching a class Year 4 to 6 students. You would be aware that multi-age planning is an integral component of teaching in rural and remote communities. I have planned a sequence of 3 lessons that cater for all learner types and all Years 4 to 6 that are part of an English unit focused on literature and context. The following presentation will analyse the appropriateness of the differentiation, teaching strategies, and the successful implementation of resources used within these 3 lesson plans. The Australian Curriculum Assessment and Reporting Authority, also known as ACARA, was fundamental in the development of the lesson plans. By using ACARA, I was able to ensure that all learning outcomes of the lessons aligned with the English content descriptors, and that similar English strands were used in order for the lessons for each year level to be consistent, as this is a key element of multi-age planning. As you can see on the slide, there is a picture of the content descriptions and the strands I selected for each year level for my lessons. As you can see there, they all have cohesive elements to them. A brief outline of the lessons. They are the second, third and fourth lessons of a 9-week English unit. The students will be learning about literature and context through the focus of fables in these lessons. When analysing the selection of the teaching strategies and differentiation used, it is evident that the strategies have been appropriately incorporated for the multi-age class. Both the differentiation and teaching strategies will now be analysed. Students are individuals who learn at different rates and in different ways. These individual differences may influence how students respond to instruction and how they demonstrate what they know, understand, and can do. The New South Wales Education Standards Authority states that differentiation programming provides teaching, learning and assessment for learning experiences that cater for the diversity of learners so that all students can learn effectively. I believe differentiation in my lessons has allowed all students the equal opportunity to achieve academic success. Differentiated instruction occurred in the lessons in 4 areas: the content, the process, the product and the environment. Teacher aid assistance is invaluable in small schools like Sandy Plains, and considering there are 6 full-time teacher aides, I have incorporated the support of a teacher aide in every lesson. Throughout the lessons, the teacher aide will specifically be working with and giving additional assistance to the 2 Indigenous English as a second language students and the lower ability level student. However, I have used flexible groupings to incorporate students of all ability levels with these students to ensure that they do not feel segregated to the rest of the cohort when they have their one-on-one time with teacher aides during the learning experiences. Throughout the lessons, I aim to make my students feel as a cohesive team, not students at 3 different year levels. This is supported when analysing the lesson plans, as classes always begin and end with all 3 year levels participating in the same learning experiences. Because the Year 5-6 content descriptions were closer related than the Year 4s, I decided to teach the Year 5-6s together during the body of the lessons with learning tasks that accommodate to both year levels' learning abilities, and then teach the Year 4s. However, within both year levels' learning experiences, a variety of different cooperative learning tasks and peer learning tasks are involved. It is strongly advocated that effective cooperative and peer learning activities help students grow academically, socially and emotionally. Within groupings, teachers can differentiate tasks by complexity and quantity and pair high achieving students with low ability students, and also enforce and promote social learning. It is also noted that cooperative learning tasks are beneficial to English as a second language students, as they have the opportunity to engage with their peers using similar vocabulary. It also allows their roles within the cooperative learning task to be adapted to best suit their abilities. This type of learning is also invaluable to educators teaching in multi-age classrooms, as when students are participating in cooperative learning, it provides teachers with the opportunity to assist other year levels or groups in the class. One way to differentiate process in classrooms is to design tiered lessons. When teachers tier a lesson, they design instructional tasks that are challenging for students at different levels of readiness, low, middle, and high levels. Although the students master the same content or core skills, the means by which they do so vary. The lessons incorporate tiered tasks to allow for the different levels of student complexity in the class. For example, in one lesson, an extension activity is included for the gifted student, and in other lessons, tiered instruction is given to the English as a second language or dialect students, who, instead of completing the same tasks as their peers, are given the choice to do less writing, or draw illustrations to represent their stories, or even given the opportunity to use computers. Bloom's taxonomy is a useful and time-tested model for examining and differentiating the challenge levels of learning tasks and discussion questions. It includes 6 levels as shown on the slide. By using Bloom's taxonomy in my lessons, I have categorized activities and questions by level of complexity, thereby ensuring that a wider range of higher-order thinking challenges are provided to students, specifically the gifted student, to ensure they remain engaged in learning. Additionally, I have incorporated tasks that require lower levels of thinking to ensure students that need more time than others to develop their content knowledge, such as the English as a second language or dialect students and the Year 3 ability student, are provided such time. For example, in the lesson where the Year 5-6 students are required to complete a sensory chart, analysing the sight, smell, taste, touch, sound of the context of a fable, and then they are asked to write a paragraph on their personal experience or a lesson they learnt. They are using higher order thinking because they are analysing and creating. When the Year 4s read a fable and answer specific questions regarding the fable, such as what is a moral, they are using lower order thinking because they are simply remembering and understanding. Like all classrooms, the multi-age class has a combination of students who all have preferred learning styles. Therefore, I have used Fleming's VARK model to accommodate for visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic learners in the lesson plans, as this model ensures that all students' preferred learning styles are met. Visual learners prefer to learn in visual formats and have a preference for seeing ideas represented rather than the use of words. I've accommodated for these learners in the lessons as I have incorporated pictures, such as when students look at images of book covers. Visual aids have been included, such as PowerPoint presentations and YouTube clips. Charts are incorporated in the lesson through T-charts and Venn diagrams, and symbols have been included, such as the traffic light strategy. Auditory learners prefer to learn through oral communication and listening. Within the lessons, there are activities incorporated to cater for these learners, such as group and whole class discussions, presenting responses to the class, peer learning activities, and listening to explicit teaching activities. There are multiple opportunities for reading and writing learners to engage in their preferred style of learning of text-based input and output within the lessons. Students are required to participate in many activities that require them to read and write, such as reading of the fables and then writing their responses in graphic organisers, or their personal paragraphs in the 3rd lesson. Kinesthetic learners learn by doing. These learners are able to engage in activities in the lessons that require the students to actively work together, explore and complete a task. For example, when the Year 4 students break into smaller groups and move around the room reading a mixture of different short fables and then have to work together to answer responses to questions on the board. With almost 35% of the school's community identifying as Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, the lessons have been tailored to incorporate different cultural backgrounds and contexts. This is evident in the fables being selected incorporating various cultural contexts, and students having to highlight the similarities and differences between the context of a fable and their own culture. Additionally, students reflect on their own cultural contexts and see how their own cultural experiences differ to others. This type of learning teaches students to respect and accept others' differences and promotes equity, diversity, and cultural connectedness. By fostering a cultural competent learning environment, it encourages the two Indigenous students with English as a second language or dialect to feel more inclusive in the classroom and makes learning more engaging for them as they are able to relate it to personal experiences. Explicit teaching is a key strategy used throughout the 3 lesson plans. It is delivered using an I do, we do, you do strategy. During the I do phase, the teacher holds a predominant role in explaining, modelling, and demonstrating what is to be learned and how to think, and the students watch and listen. This step is displayed when the students are learning about fables in the lessons, and the teacher is simply explaining, and students are writing directly what is written on the board. In the we do phase, the teacher continues to model, question, prompt students, but students work with the teacher and practice examples. This is evident in the lesson when students and the teacher are working as a group to complete a Venn diagram comparing the similarities and differences between the context of a fable and their own experiences. In the you do phase, students work independently and demonstrate a mastery of a skill or knowledge attained. This is evident when the students complete their sensory charts or write their personal paragraphs. Scaffolding is the process by which teachers use particular conceptual material and linguistic tools and technologies to support student learning. Scaffolding is used to explain, model, interact, and assess. One of the main benefits of scaffolding is that it provides for a supportive learning environment. In a scaffolded learning environment, students are free to ask questions, provide feedback, and support their peers in learning new material. When analysing the lesson plans, it is evident that all 3 lessons incorporate scaffolded learning. One example of this is when the Year 4s are completing the features of a traditional stories worksheet, as they are individually completing their own sheets. However, discussion about the responses and the responses students give are outlined on the board by the teacher. An analysis of the lesson plans has identified that multiple useful resources have been implemented to assist in the successful engagement of students in learning. Graphic organisers are incorporated in the lessons through the methods of T-charts, Venn diagrams, and sensory charts. They allow students to decipher and classify important bits of information from text, making them easier to understand. This is why they are a vital resource for English as a second language or dialect students. Not only do they cater for visual learners, but studies have also found they are effective for gifted children and students with special needs. Not only have studies proven the implementation of ICTs in lessons increases the motivation of students, but ICTs also facilitate self-paced learning and provides a choice for all learners. Through ICT use, students can explore, investigate, and present their work with support when needed at their own pace. Many ICT programs offer a menu of tasks which increase in complexity, allowing the student to independently control the rate at which they move their learning forward or are challenged. ICTs have been implemented into the lesson plans to assist the lower ability and English as a second language or dialect students. For example, they are given the opportunity to use computers to deliver their responses to questions and tasks rather than handwrite them. Additionally, ICTs such as smartboards and PowerPoints are used to engage the gifted student who shows little interest in English. Videos have been incorporated in the lesson plans to engage all learners in the classroom. In 2 of the 3 lessons, a video is played at the beginning of the lessons in order to gain and maintain student attention. Video clips that are played within the lessons are educative, relatable to the content of the lesson, and above all are visually engaging. Video is evidently an instructional resource that generates a much greater amount of interest and enjoyment than the more traditional printed material. Video stimulates and engages students, creating interest and maintaining that interest for longer periods of time. It is hoped that by incorporating video clips in the class, the curriculum content is delivered in a more effective means. In conclusion, after a critical analysis of the 3 lesson plans, it has been identified that the differentiation teaching strategies, and resources implemented have successfully catered for multi-age students' specific learning needs, while considering the context of the school community and the specific needs of the low ability student, the English as a second language or dialect Indigenous students, and the gifted learner that is not interested in English. And therefore, the lesson plans have provided equitable, challenging, and engaging learning opportunities for all.